Frankly, if you hear Ed and Lorraine Warren mentioned, you should count it as fake. They have been proven to be frauds. No, they haven't. And if, quite frankly, I support everything they do or by this point did. Really? I'm about to show you how wrong that statement is. Welcome to the program. This is the Mortika Lacrosse Show. This is the Mortika Lacrosse Show. Greetings, I'm Mortika Lacrosse, and this is the Mortika Lacrosse Show on New Revolution TV, Revolutionize Your Life. And this title of this episode of the Mortika Lacrosse Show is called Ed and Lorraine Warren Lied. So, in 1974, Defoe murdered his entire family in the middle of the night. In the Amityville house. Claims voices he heard in his head were plotting against him. A year later, the Lutz family did move in. There are countless articles revealing Lutz hunting was more fiction than fact. William Weber, Defoe's lawyer, claims Kathy Lutz, and George Lutz during one night consumed 4 bottles of wine and had a creative writing session about what would go into writing a horror novel. Weber was looking to create some kind of defense for his client, who was a mass genocidal maniac. At one point, Into the Warrens, a photograph was allegedly taken of an entity, but was proven later to be one of the Warrens' investigators that work for their paranormal society, if you will. The Annabelle legend has no evidence of actually being real. In fact, no one has come forward owning the doll before the Warrens. The Annabelle legend originates only from the Warrens themselves. They took the idea from a 1963 episode of The Twilight Zone, in which a woman named Annabelle gives her daughter a doll that comes to life and terrorizes the family. In the Conjuring movie, Bathsheba is said to have been a witch who sacrificed her child to Satan. It is said to be another case in which the Warrens investigated. Lorraine is the one who said this. The real Bathsheba was born in 1812 to parents Ephraim Thayer and Hannah Taft. Not as Arnold, as Andrea Perrin claims in her book, or as Lorraine Warren claimed in the Warren case files. Bathsheba never worked on the property of the old Arnold estate, nor cared for a child that died on the property. Bathsheba did have 4 children, and 3 of them did die very young from childhood diseases. Very common for the 1800s. Their only surviving son, Herbert Leander Sherman, was born in 1849. So no child sacrificed to Satan, contrary to Ed and Lorraine Warren's ridiculous claims. No records of any child of Bathsheba's dying from a knitting needle to the head or anything of that sort. Bathsheba was buried at the Harrisville Historic Cemetery. If she was a witch, she wouldn't have been buried next to her husband or children or even in town. The church even gave her a funeral and an obituary. If she was hated in the community and known for a witch, they wouldn't have done this. The Shermans were God-fearing Christians like the rest of the town. Their community as a whole was tightly knit, and they would have known if Bathsheba was up to no good, or a satanic witch, or what other ridiculous claim the Warrens came up with. When Bathsheba died on May 25th, 1885, the Reverend A.H. Granger, a Baptist minister, gave the eulogy of her death, which was paralysis due to a stroke. Nothing about her turning into stone. The Sherman estate was not on the Arnold estate. At no point in any historical documents does it mention any suicides on the Arnold estate either. Ed Lorraine is quoted in an article saying many objects in this room, in their room at their so-called museum, have had dire effects on people. People have been maimed and killed. Of course, we have nothing but Ed's word for this. The Conjuring 2 movie, Lorraine Warren says, is about the Enfield poltergeist that her and her husband investigated. In fact, this is false. They were barely involved with the investigation. Even though they claim that they were involved, they were barely even there. They were like there for a day. It was in Brimsdown, Enfield, England. Only one problem: Guy Lyon Playfair, a member of the Society for Psychological Research and one of the chief investigators of the Enfield case, says that Warren showed up uninvited and only stayed there for a day. Guy says they manufactured their own version of the story that never happened in order to make profit. One of the cases that the Warrens wrote about in their book, The Devil in Connecticut, which you might have heard in The Hunt in Connecticut, is about a teenager named Arnie Johnson who murdered his landlord while possessed by demons he had inherited from a little boy named David Glatzel after David was given an exorcism arranged by the Warrens. Carl Gladson Jr., a brother of David, wound up suing the Warrens on the grounds that his brother was mentally ill, not possessed. The truth is, Warrens promised the family they'd become millionaires if they would insist that the boys had been plagued by demons instead of being mentally ill. They also promised that Johnson could beat the rap by using demonic possession as a defense. While the Warrens were writing in a dark place, they contacted Ray Garton, a well-known horror writer, to help. When Garton raised his concerns about it being fake to Ed Warren, Ed responded, "All the people who come to us are crazy. Just use what you can and make the rest up. Make it up and make it scary. That's why we hired you." Hold on. Okay. The Enfield poltergeist story was later exposed as young girls playing pranks. Joe Nickel wrote a detailed piece to Skeptical Inquirer in August 2012, referencing numerous sources that reveal how the events in the Hodgin house occurred when no one was around. Therefore, it was made up. The Ed Lorraine so-called werewolf case claims to be 100% true, but no documentation to prove such. There's a passage in the very book that admits there's no evidence. The passage is as follows. The Warrens haven't been able to produce any photos or material evidence. Hello, the very book is the proof that is supposed to be the proof. Presents no proof. The Warrens made it all up. And now for the final thought. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the final part of the show, Afterthought. Well, this, I guess you could say, is Afterthought. The Afterthought isn't that paranormal cases aren't real or anything of that matter. No. The afterthought here that I want to present to you is people like Lorraine Warren and Ed Warren make it impossible for there to be any actual investigation into life after death. It makes it to those who really investigate ghost and paranormal experiences and try to find out if they're real, makes them out to be quacks. Shit like Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures or Lorraine and Ed Warren or what other garbage sci-fi channel produces as so-called real-life ghost hunt adventuring makes it impossible for the real, down-to-earth, true paranormal investigators to be taken as a serious field of investigation. Whether there's life after death or not, I don't know. But the point is for there to be any serious investigation, people like Ed and Lorraine Warren need to be exposed as the frauds they are. That's all I'm saying. I'm Mortika Lacrosse, and this has been the Mortika Lacrosse Show. Thanks for watching. Until next time, stay wicked.